Hi, everyone. I'm Elora. This is my dad, John. We came from Bali today to speak with you all. And that's where I grew up. I grew up in Bali. Then I moved to the US. I worked for a while in fashion in New York City, which is very exciting and rewarding. But I felt like I needed to find a way to make a difference. So 2 years ago, I returned to Bali to work with my dad. And so today we've come here to tell you a story about what we've been up to there.
I came to Hong Kong in 1975, probably before many of you were even conceived. And I found it very busy, very noisy, very commercial. So I kept on going. I went to another small island called Bali. And I've been there ever since. I visited Hong Kong a few times, but I really like Bali. And what Bali is really all about is seeds. You have to plant a seed, if you want something to grow. And these are bamboo seedlings. They're really small, about the size of a chopstick. And I planted one in front of my house, and only 5 years later it had turned into this. A great big clump of black bamboo. And the important thing to know about bamboo is the mother, and the mother lives underground and sends up shoots. And these shoots are totally amazing. They're big, they come up full size, they go as high as a coconut tree in 2 months. And then you wait 3 years and you can cut them. And once you cut them, they're ready to use. They're ready to build things out of. But before you do that, you have to get them to the market. You can imagine trying to drive this truck through Central. In fact, we bring them out of the mountain in the middle of the night when the police are sleeping. They're really, really long. And once we get them to the workshop, we wash them with water, and we put them in these giant tanks. And there they sit for 24 hours in a solution of borax. Now, borax is a natural salt that comes from Tibet, which must be yours, Turkey, and Boron, California. It goes into the bamboo, and we end up with this. Now, we all want to believe there's a virtual, endless supply of everything. But we all know in our hearts that there really isn't. There isn't enough for everyone. But this is something that is a permanent, sustainable material. We're going to show you all the things it does. But all you have to do is plant some seedlings. And in a short 8 years, you can start building your apartment. So we've learned an awful lot about bamboo. We've broken it in the lab, we've tortured it, we've twisted it, we've burned it, and now we have all the engineering information so we can start building something that's completely new. Bamboo has been around forever. We probably were living in it before shortly after we came out of the trees. And you've all seen it. You can still see it in very rural places. In fact, they even did cool stuff with it. This is from 1930 in Java. It's a great big bamboo bridge. Unfortunately, all we have left of these amazing things that were done is the photos. It's very sad. And it's all this guy's fault. This is a powder post beetle. He has very nasty habits. And I read recently in National Geographic that when he eats things, what comes out of the tail end of him is pure methane, which you know is ruining the world. And he has eaten every bamboo building ever made. Nasty little guy. But the borax changes everything forever. The little guy comes and takes a bite out of the borax bamboo. He gets terminal diarrhea, and he doesn't come back. Sort of like a tourist in Mexico. So now we can build things like this. Permanent, sustainable architecture. And if you look closely up there, those guys are eating their lunch. So we not only can build beautiful things, we can have some fun doing it. This is a bridge at Green School in Bali. It's 22 meters long. It's the biggest bamboo bridge in Asia. And some people think it's the most beautiful. We can do scale. And we can do beauty. This is Green School. We call it the heart of school. When the architects started, it was a rectangular box, and it was called the administration complex. We twisted it, we bent it, it became a double helix, and we renamed it the heart of school. There's a model of it sitting in front of the construction site. And remarkably, it was built by guys like this. This is Wayan. He started building bamboo with his dad when he was 5 years old, and he's still doing it. And they have amazing techniques. That's called a fish mouth, and it's being pinned together with a very elegant bamboo pin. Hand-built, hand-raised buildings, no cranes. And it looks like chaos. If I have one more person tell me about the wonderful bamboo they use in Hong Kong for scaffolding, I will cry. Because when that scaffolding comes down, you know what you're left with. You're left with a giant concrete building, and the bamboo is gone. What happens with us is we take down our metal scaffolding, and we're left with a beautiful bamboo building. We're just going in the opposite direction. It's really exciting to see it. This is the heart of school. It used 7 kilometers of bamboo, but it's very important to do the math. The heart of school has been there for 5 years. The bamboo sprouted and grew for 3 years. That means that this building didn't exist on the planet 8 years ago. It's incredible when you think about the only way we could have built an equivalent structure is to cut down hundreds of 60 or 70-year-old trees. Bamboo is a viable future. It's a school. It's called Green School. It's in Bali. And it's providing a green education for almost 300 kids, from kindergarten to high school. Our first graduates come out this year. And they're coming from 45 countries around the world, and 10% of them are local Balinese kids. And they are, as you know, the future. And with that, I'm going to pass the clicker to the future of bamboo, Elora.
So I returned to Bali a couple years ago, and Green School had already mostly been built by that time. And I inherited the team of craftsmen and architects who had been building Green School. I founded a new company. It's called Ibuku. In Indonesian, Ibu means mother, and Ku means mine, so Ibuku is like my mother, your mother, Mother Earth. And we are a design and construction team. The way that we start is first we just sit on the land where we're going to build. Then we draw a bit. And then we start the design process in real 3D. We build our architectural models out of the same material that we'll use to build the house. And these models are where the structural design work actually happens. And some engineering. So as Putra's designing the structure of the house, he's testing it for weakness. And we also replicate that model in a 3D line in the computer. And we're talking about curved lines here, so those of you that work in the computer might know a bit about that. Curving 3D lines, replicating every single bamboo stick in the model. And this is all just for the engineer to study and confirm. We don't use this for construction at all. Every single pole that we'll build is shown in this CAD. And once the engineers are happy, we give that model back to the craftsman. We tried to give them drawings, but that didn't work very well. They spread them out and took a nap on them at lunch break. So we don't design in the computer. We don't make blueprints for builders. We don't make models for clients. We work backwards. We're designing in 3D. So here is a tiny handmade bamboo ruler. And the workers use that to measure every pole in the model. Then to prepare the material, they go and they choose the poles of bamboo that are curving in just the right way to replicate the model. And you're talking about completely unique, tapering, curved bamboo poles that grew in a forest. And I'm not an architect, but from what I understand from conventional architecture, this is pretty much their worst nightmare. And you can see the base that we're working on here is a replica of the contour of the slope, the natural contour. So we're also working from foundation points on a slope, not on a flat piece of land. And on site, the model rules. And the house goes up really fast. We're not talking cranes here. This is just skilled workers. Within 4 months, it can look like this, rain or shine. And every step of construction is watched over by the architects and engineers. They're on site every day, refining and adjusting. When we're talking in curves, there's a lot that you just can't plan in advance. And the house is entirely handmade. We use small handheld tools. This is one of our main tools here. I think this tool has a very low carbon footprint. It's mostly powered by rice. And he's whittling a peg. And we also have bigger tools, but they're usually hand carried around the site. And then there's a bamboo pole there that they're using to carry it around. And it's one of the few construction sites in the world where you have to take your shoes off to enter. The craftsman is hammering one of those pins he carved into the floor, and that's one of 1,000 pins. And these are our foundation diggers. They're low-impact, rice-fueled excavators. And they also prefer to work barefoot here on the slope by the edge of the river. If you came to our construction site, you might actually think that we were in the midst of an archaeological dig. We build light on the land. We don't disturb it. There's no bulldozers. There's no cranes. We even take the dirt out of the holes and up away from the site. And we build some of the most delicate structures in the world. The rebar comes up from the foundations through a hole that we've drilled in the river stone. The rebar goes up into the bamboo, which is hollow. We cut a hole in the bamboo, and we pour in 50 centimeters of cement. So that becomes a really strong footing for an extremely flexible structure. And it also leaves a really tiny footprint on the land. Now, we managed to convince the roof shinglers to wear harnesses. And one day there was an earthquake at the office, and they're the first the first guys I thought of. But they were actually quite undisturbed up there on top of the flexible structure of the roof. And these are guys who climb coconut trees, also barefoot, of course. And we really don't like cutting down trees, so we designed the curve of this roof to fit perfectly among them. It's nestled right in there. And if you look under a house after 6 months of construction, you'll see little plants still alive. They survived. Now, imagine waking up at sunrise in a bamboo house like this. You enter the house on the 4th floor, and if you look through the hole in the floor, you'll see this. You're inside of a tower, and these are 14-meter bamboo poles that are holding up a roof in a 4-story structure. You feel connected with nature in these homes. That's what people say about them. And we also have clients. These homes are built for people. And we'd promised the owner of this house a TV room in the living room. But we couldn't bear to build walls, so we just built a really big basket and put the TV in that. And this is the master bedroom. The client was into what we were talking about by that point. She didn't want too many walls or windows. She asked us to keep it open, so we built her an air-conditioned bed. And other people like air-conditioned rooms, so we do that as well. This is glassed in. And we're mostly inspired by nature, but we're also inspired by culture. This is our version of a Chinese moon door. It's got a center pivot, spinning glass panel. And this is a spinning egg door. It's set between 2 baskets. That's the powder room, and that's the pantry. And this is the kind of thing that we come up with on site. We spend time inside the structure as the structure is going up, and we think of what we're going to do next. So each of the 7 homes at Green Village so far are completely unique, and we custom design the interiors. Now, can you imagine trying to buy the right furniture for this kind of house? A lot of people were having a hard time with this, so we ended up designing and building custom furniture for them as well. And this is the experience of being on the edge of the river valley, among the bamboo, in a house made in Bali.
I wish I lived there. Oh, I do live there. So here we are. 2 spaceships landed on the side of the river. And if you look closely there, you'll see a swimming pool, because people must have their comforts. And again, we were torn, as we often are. Do we put a concrete swimming pool between the spaceships? And we decided not to. So I had an idea, which usually ends in tears. I thought, let's build the world's first bamboo swimming pool. And the engineers came and told me how much it couldn't happen, and the architects came and said they wouldn't work on it. And I felt very frustrated and almost went for the concrete. And then we had an idea, another idea. Let's let the Balinese craftsmen build the pool. So we just built it. And I had a friend staying in one of the spaceships, and he said, John, there was a really big noise last night. And I thought, oh. The first pool had turned over and dumped its entire contents of water into the river. But the Balinese were completely unfazed. They came back, they reinforced all the footings, they'd learned a lot in that one turnover, and then they did extensive testing. These are the guys that built the pool. And we went on and we finished the pool. And the next little problem came when the owner and his wife arrived. They both jumped in, and there was a problem. His wife couldn't get out. Now that creates a lot of possibilities in life, but it's right beside the house, so you can't just leave her there. So I got another call saying, this time it wasn't it fell in the river, it's the wife can't get out. So I went back and we built steps. Now everyone can get out. So that was just a little vignette, and my life is small, but I'm going to pass the mic back to Elora, and she's going to talk about much bigger and important things.
So we're building houses, and this one you can't see it all, but it's actually six stories. So it's longer than our longest bamboo. We had to create a creative tower structure inside to make it work. And it belongs to our beloved client who had actually previously bought a house at Green Village, and during construction he decided that he wanted an even bigger one. So this is his second home. And these are the first 8 of hundreds of homes that will be built around Green School over the next years. And this is an example of a structure at a hotel. It's an exact replica of a traditional wooden Sumatran house, and it's at the center of our family hotel in Ubud. Recently, this bamboo chocolate factory sprung up in our neighborhood. It's the biggest chocolate factory made of bamboo in the world. And a local bank commissioned us to build a green ATM. So it's solar powered, and it's made of glass and bamboo. And for security, that sort of issue came up and they wanted to build big foundations. We just bolted it to a big rock. So it's not going anywhere. All of these things are just percolating and adding up, and there's basically a bamboo revolution going on.
I didn't know what I started when I built the school. And you all live in the world of designers, and they all have better suits and better haircuts than anyone else. And they're designing what they're designing. I'm not always completely on the train, but this stuff is being made by these guys. This is local. These are local Indonesian artisans, architects, designers, engineers. And they get into trouble, especially with their mothers. Because their mothers go, we spent all that money on your education, and you're building bamboo. When are you going to get serious and move to Hong Kong and design parking garages? This is really local, and it's really a pleasure to be local. Local bamboo, local talent. And I can't really tell you guys anything about bamboo. This is a 300-year-old Chinese bamboo brush pot found in a church basement sale in London. It was recently sold for $500,000 at auction. So you've been in the bamboo world forever. And the reason I came up here to speak is I really think it's time to create a bamboo future. If you really want to blindly follow the West, follow this young man who's going out to plant a bamboo seedling. Thank you.
Thank you, John and Elora. Now, does anyone has any questions?
I was just wondering, is there a lifespan on the bamboo, or does it need to be replaced every 5-10 years, or how does it?
I knew I forgot something. You remember the brush pot was 300 years old? Well, our buildings, and I'm pretty safe at 63 saying this, will last 100 years. And the oldest piece, we work with a big mining company that mines the borax, and the oldest piece of borax-treated material in the world is 60 years old. And that little powder post beetle still doesn't want to eat it. So I'm feeling pretty good about the age of bamboo.
You have to properly treat it, design with it carefully, and it will last for generations.
I'm Indonesian, and I wanted to thank you for what you're doing for my people. What plans do you have to take your bamboo technology beyond Bali or beyond Indonesia?
There's a big possibility for bamboo everywhere in Asia, and we're just starting small in Bali. We're really lucky there to have the craftsmen that we have, and it's letting us grow at a really kind of accelerated pace and innovate. So we're focusing on Bali for the moment, and we're focusing on this sort of glamorous luxury product, because I also feel like if you're going to make something luxurious and kind of unnecessary, then you should do it out of something that's kind of free, right? Bamboo, in a way, is free. We're not using resources to create it. So yeah, we're starting at home, and then it has huge possibilities to spread across Asia.
I don't want to create a political incident, but I did worry about the fact that when the Chinese find out that they're not #1 in bamboo, I don't want any warships circling Bali. But we are starting something called Bamboo U, as in Bamboo University, so that young designers and old designers from all professions can come and learn about what we're doing. Because Indonesia truly is the bamboo building center of the world now.
I wanted to thank you. I visited your school last summer. I was very impressed. Bravo. And I wanted to know what is the resistance of bamboo to fire.
I'm really happy you're asking these good questions, because we always forget things. 2 young men with a lot of money and a lot of dreams about building bamboo spent $300,000 getting bamboo into the Hawaiian Building Code. And it tested to the same level as timber frame, as timber, in terms of fire. We were building the school, and there's always a thought of liability and all those children. So we just did a simple thing. We didn't put walls. So the problem in fire is that people can't get out. So God's forbid a bamboo building catch fire at the school, but no matter what way you run, you survive.
Any application in colder weathers that it's possible that you've been thinking of?
I often have Russians asking this same question. We can absolutely build bamboo anywhere in the world. And it's just a matter of doing earth walls and triple glazed windows and putting it on the land facing the right direction so it gets the sun. But the actual structure would be inside the building. And I'm dying to try that theory.
Thank you, Mr. John Hardy and Ms. Elora Hardy.